Simon Carranza, and he would play his guitar. He had 12 string guitar, and he would sit out, and we were so close by that was the music that put us to sleep.
Back then, in those days, in the barrio, there was a man used to come in an old beat-up green truck. He used to have a cigar. He seemed like he never smoked it. And he used to pick up fruits from the markets that they used to toss, and they used to take it to the barrio for sell it for a nickel or a dime or whatever, right? So he used to love to talk to us. I used to love to talk to me. I used to tell him stories. My other brother used to sneak in the back and grab a couple of apples, and stuff like that.
There was a man that will come in his station wagon and bring blankets. I think it was a Greek man or a Jewish man.
He always had a cigar. He never smoked a cigar, though. I never smelled the smoke. Always was chewing a big old cigar. And with the fruit, he used to get all the way, and then he would say, oh, a nickel, oh, a dime.
For me, it was so different when I came to Barrio Anita because the milkmen used to come around and knock on the doors and deliver the milk. It was so much fun.
There was a nickname of a guy who I think he lived in Hollywood, but he attended school there in that area. His nickname was El Marihuano. We had ice boxes.
Yeah.
When I visited my grandmother, this was in the 40s during the war, the Iceman would come by delivering ice, and they'd tell me, "Escóndate, ahí viene el alemán." He had a German last name, German ancestry, and when he came to deliver the ice, I died.
And then in the barrio used to be another lady. She was Hermana Nachita. She was Mario Hollywood. She was half Asian, half Mexican. She used to pick us up in an old Chevy truck to go to the Methodist church. And then one of my dad's buddies, who was still in town, used to pick us up to clean yards too, Mr. Gomez. And so we had kind of adoptive people that helped us grow up.
His name was Henry Tellez, my mom's nephew. He was one of Juana's, my mom's sister's son, and he was a funny guy. I mean, everybody just he sat down with you. He'd make you cry because he was so funny. He had a lot of people. It's just, that's just within their nature that they're just naturally funny.
One of my cousins, his name was Henry Tellez. Enrique, from the barrio there, grew up. He survived. He was in the Army Air Force in the Philippines, and he survived the Bataan March. Well, during the war, World War II, my dad was too young for World War I and too old for World War II, but he was an air raids warden. During the war, at certain times of the day, they did a practice that we were being bombed or whatever. The sirens would go off, all over town, and my dad, I remember, put on a hat, went outside, and stopped traffic.
Oh, wow.
Oury was a hangout during those days, and Vera was the recreation center director. Vera would always keep us in check, keep us out of trouble, and give us things, candies or things that she brought from her house, even food sometimes.
Oh, Chino's awesome. I love him. You know what? He was our mentor, our main person at Oury. He was there. It was all about us. It was about the people in the neighborhood. He would go in above and beyond for everybody. Rather it be we didn't have money for sports, he'd pay for the sport. Rather it be one person couldn't go to the field trip, somehow, some way, we went to the field trip. Thanks to Oury, we stayed on a good track. Chino had a lot to do with that, letting us stay at Oury from open to close. We never wandered the streets. We were always safe to walk there, walk home. It was never like, oh, I don't know what time they're coming. My grandma would call Oury and talk to Chino. He'd be like, yeah, you can spank them if you want. And, but it was, that's where our home was. It was home in Oury, 24/7.
Well, let me tell you a story about my Tio Fernando, and he was the type that got a kick out of scaring people. And, there's a lot of people up to this day, a lot of them recall back then how he was and how they consider him a mean person. But he just got a kick out of it. And there was people that were walking right by the house, maybe after a ball game, and they were going home at night, and this is around maybe 10 o'clock at night, and he would hide behind our hedge there, and he'd go ahead and drape a white sheet over himself. And then when they were walking by there, he would just spring out of the hedge, and oh my God, you could hear the people screaming and yelling, especially the kids. And he loved to do that, The other thing he loved to do is, like I say, people would congregate there at the house after maybe a church on Sundays, and they'd go see my mom, and she had nephews and nieces and you name it, and they would go. I mean, the house was small, so they had to spread outside. Mm-hmm. And, if they were to go ahead and take a kid that maybe was, 3, 4 months old, but he would love to make him cry, so the first thing he would do was pinch him or pull their ear, just to make him cry.
I went on to mention that we had also a small community of blacks in El Barrio. The Moore family, like Billy Moore used to hang out with Billy. And Mr. Moore would always bring us food because my mom used to help watch Billy. And we all used to hang out together and used to go dove hunting. That's what Billy was really good at, shooting doves. And then Billy learned really quick, if we call you to eat, you better run to the table, because if you didn't make it on time, you ain't gonna get no food. He got the message real quick.
From where we lived, right in back of us, there were the Moore family, beautiful family, church-going family, very responsible. And then on the other side, across the street from us, was the noble families. And down the line, then we had Arthur Burt and various African Americans there. And it was mainly Chinese, Mexican American, African American. I think there was maybe 1 or 2 Anglos, but that was about it. It was comprised of those 3 groups of people.
There were assimilations of cultures coming together and working together, which was beautiful.
So we had really, really nice neighbors, Chinese, Black American, precious people that were my daddy's friends for life. My daddy knew the Nobles. That was a black family that lived on Speedway and Wisconsin. So I never saw any prejudice. Really. A lot of respect. A lot of respect.
They called it a Chino American Club, and it was a softball. So they were good at softball, and so there was a competition there. They used to play the Chicanos, and they were good, and so they all knew Spanish. The same thing with the black African Americans. The Nobles knew Spanish. They were at my house all the time. They loved to eat those bean burros,
As far as I know, as I can remember, the elder, Carrillo, used to have a little truck where he used to sell vegetables down the streets. And that's how my family knew him.
My mom used to tell me stories about him when he was young. He had a bottle of wine. He just celebrated Mass. They were near the fountain. And, mijita, vete pa allá a jugar. Let me take a little drink here and relax.
When Monsignor Carrillo died and I was talking to his sister, and not his sister, his niece, and Tilly, we kind of commented that the neighbors aren't like that anymore. And I also said something that the people who lived there before and are still there, there'll always be that connection. It's like we're all family in some ways.
My uncle had been working for the gas company, and he had taken his family for an outing on a Sunday. I believe it was a Sunday, and they were coming down north on Main Street, and he saw the fire and a lot of smoke, and of course he had to stop. Well, somebody had to get to the top of there were maybe 2 big tanks with letters going up, but somebody had to go up and close the valves. Otherwise, if it exploded, a lot of the Tucson, this was Tucson, and the downtown area would have burnt. So he told the firemen, whatever you do, don't stop pointing that hose on my body. I'm going up there. Because nobody wanted to go up there. Nobody. But he did. And he closed the valve. And when he came down, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd degree burns, he had curly hair. A lot of his hair had burned, and his eyebrows, and he was very hairy because he was a working man, and he was burnt, but he saved the city. Yes. And they made a corrido. I've never heard it, but they told me that there was a corrido. Aurelio Garcia, and this happened between 1920 and 1930.